right now, what are the biggest challenges that you're seeing that teachers, admin, and staff is facing today?
Number one is time. They are bogged down with so many different responsibilities and added to their plate every day that has no direct correlation to student outcomes. And they pay for it out of their own pocket.
What's the biggest goal for Perfect Schools over the next 6 to 12 months?
Evangelism. Step by step, brick by brick. Just keep moving forward.
Welcome back to the EdTech Growth Podcast. I'm Shyla, and every episode we bring you conversations with the people building and scaling EdTech companies so you can grow faster and skip the guesswork. Today's episode is brought to you by Core Intelligence AI, AI-powered acquisition systems for EdTech companies. So if you're tired of relying on referrals or content to fill your pipeline and you want a predictable outbound system working for you in the background, head over to Core Intelligence AI or just drop the word growth in my DMs and we'll take it from there. Today, I'm joined by Gary Nickol, co-founder and CEO of Perfect Schools Tools. Gary has spent more than 20 years in sales, operations, leadership, and business growth. Today, he's helping schools across the country save time and improve communication through visual learning tools and educator-focused solutions. Gary, welcome to the show.
Shyla, thank you. Thank you very much. Good talking to you again, too.
Yes. So if we can get started with your story, what led you to start Perfect School Tools?
That's I'll keep it short. How's that? So for the last, I would say a little over a decade, I've been working with schools, public schools mainly. K through 12 is kind of the focus. And what I've realized is that a lot of times there are solutions being offered to schools that are, kind of in a vacuum, right? It's what is thought to be the problem. And even organizations that I was a part of, the same challenges were coming up where it was like, okay, this is okay, but where is our input to make sure that it's adopted, make sure that it is right. And really Perfect School Tools was kind of born out of this, of just years and years and years of listening to the frustration, the challenges, especially inside of the school, right? When we're talking about the educators and school staff from, media specialists, the administrators, et cetera, that, they say, okay, this is okay. But, we weren't really brought along in this whole process of identifying that core challenge that they face. And a lot of times that is time, money spent, etc. And I wanted to start first and foremost with an organization that thinks of them first. Yes, ultimately we want to serve students, but at the same time, we want to start with them and give them the power to serve the students. So everything and anything that we've brought to the table was really born out of that. And that's how we started to think about the solutions we wanted to offer.
Right. So that's what stood out to me, your mission to serve those who serve students. So what does that mean like, or what does it look like in practice?
Great question. For us, it's the start of everything, right? And basically our thought process is that there are a lot of solutions out there that are geared towards the student outcomes, improving that. And we agree. But I feel as if one of the biggest tools or biggest, what I would say is what is out there right now to serve students are educators. It is the school staff, right? So we kind of took it from an approach of let's look at what solves the school staff problem, right? What is bogging them down? Every day it's new responsibilities that are put on their plate and they're being stretched thinner and thinner. So we wanted to take this approach of okay, where are simplistic solutions that can actually give that time back to the educators and the school staff to actually serve them, because I think that they're in the best position to be able to. So that was kind of the lens that we put everything through. And I think even any solutions that we add in the future, that's really the lens that we're going to look at from.
Right. Okay. So then right now, what are the biggest challenges that you're seeing that teachers, admin, and staff is facing today?
Number one is time. They are bogged down with so many different responsibilities and added to their plate every day that has no direct correlation to student outcomes. So we want to look at ways that we can give them back that time. I'll give a perfect example. So we learned, through talking to a lot of educators, media specialists inside of schools that bulletin boards is a big thing, right? They're kind of, I don't want to say pressured, but it is important to refresh those bulletin boards, say every 3 to 4 weeks with new content. And that's important for the students because visual learning is what sticks in the brain. But on average, it is taking anywhere between 6 to 8 hours to refresh these bulletin boards. Not only is it a matter of creating all of this content, the ideation of it, but then they have to go to like Dollar General and pick up this, pick up that, and they have to create it, and they pay for it out of their own pocket. So our very first solution that we came up with was basically our awards and cut system that not only creates and we provide the content to create it, but it also die cuts borders. Kind of like an example I have behind me, where it could die cut the letter shapes and numbers, and it cuts their time to 2-3 hours. So now that 5 hours is back to student outcomes. Mm. I think in general, from top down, I think the biggest thing that's in their corner is the fact that everybody is passionate about the student. This is an industry that is not about money. It's not a get rich type of career path. It is really about that core passion. And I think honestly, from administrators in the district all the way down to everybody inside of the school, that passion is there. It's really about making it effective and efficient to be successful. So I think having that as their mantra and really caring about students is the biggest thing that they have going for them.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's so important. You're so right about the money. It's definitely not the money. You don't become a teacher for the money.
And you figure too, I mean, a lot of folks, they're getting advanced degrees and they're getting their masters, they're getting their PhDs, and it's not really correlating to compensation for them, which is probably a whole other subject.
Right. Okay. So going back a little bit toward your history, you had experience in sales, operations, leadership throughout your career. How did those experiences influence the way you built this company?
Great question. I would say more than anything else, it is from working in Fortune 500 publicly traded companies to really startups where you're going from 0 to 1 and handling all of those responsibilities. I think has given me that unique perspective, not only for building PST, right, but also our partner schools. It is how we interact with our partner schools. We almost look at them as like an extension of us. Like we're grimy. We get things done. We do this. We do that. We're efficient. We're effective, and it actually allows for us to look at our partner schools. I don't want to say they're my employees, but everything I try to solve internally with our staff is the same lens that we use to fix the bureaucracy that's going on in schools and especially larger districts, that we can streamline that for them as well. So I kind of take that on as like an extension to them. So taking our unique experience,
Right.
in my unique experience, and really using it for internal and external purposes.
Perfect. Yeah. And that flows so naturally for you. It feels like that it's just so seamless.
I'm in my lane. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then, so for our founders listening who may be interested in the education market, I'd love to talk about growth. So, what have you learned about selling into K-12 schools?
I think the biggest thing is it's a process, right? One of the biggest challenges when you're coming in is uh, really building that trust with the individual schools, the districts, et cetera, because there's a process behind it. You got to become an approved vendor. No matter how much they love you, this, that, or the other thing, it is a process. So stick to your process. But I think really what's ultimately the most important thing is listening. You need to be able to listen to what it is that is challenging them and how you can help to solve. I was just posting yesterday, I hit my milestone of 175 school visits so far in 2026.
Wow.
I know I'm not going to be able to do that as we grow and grow, but I will never stop being in the schools, talking to them, because coming up with simplistic solutions that will save them time, take responsibilities off their desk, no matter what you're offering in an tech realm, that is key. Especially because it's not about a sale, it's about listening to those challenges and making sure that you're getting everybody's buy-in for adoption, because that is 10 times more important than being the flavor of the week for them.
Exactly. So, what's your advice in helping, I guess, whenever you do speak with admins, getting, like you said, the adoption, because everybody does have to jump on board. They all have to implement everything. What is your advice to them to help them with that?
So I think for me, I start there. I start there. I want to see, I want to talk to them. I want to talk to the media specialist who's managing all of the technology inside of a school and find out, okay, what is your biggest challenges? And again, as a partnership, it doesn't mean we're going to turn around tomorrow and be that solution, but we're going to use our network to say, hey, I know somebody. But I think ultimately getting them bought in early, it sounds the reverse, but I want to have them as my lab and then work our way up to, administration. Because then we know we're really solving for them. Nothing is worse than a decision being made at the district level and then it becomes thrown on the end user.
Exactly. Okay, definitely. So you mentioned that your average sales cycle is around 90 days.
Yeah.
What have you learned about navigating that process and how
Mm.
have you gotten it? Because in the industry and people I speak to, it's nowhere near 90. It's probably a lot, like double that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's in some situations it can be. I mean, price point is going to make a difference. How much they have to work their way through the whole bidding process, etc. Just to kind of give you, a baseline, our solutions are anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000 per school. So, I mean, I think that probably makes it a little bit easier, but ultimately, the cycle, no matter how big, small your product offering is, really starts with trust, right? And when you're going from 0 to 1, it's important to really be able to display, show them how simple this is going to be. And then from there, then it's just working the process. I mean, a lot of times what anybody's going to hear is, we love this, but at this moment, we don't have. Right. So I think it's also important for anybody in this field to really become conversational and know about all the different funding buckets that they can tap into. Right, whether it's a Title I school, so federal funding, you also have a number of other grants that they can use, or a lot of other resources that they can use, and it's important not only for you to be aware of that, but to be able to educate them on it, because there are a lot of times where they're like, oh, I didn't know I can use donor choose for this. I didn't know this was eligible for title funds. So you need to have that so that you can educate them on different buckets that they can dip into.
Definitely. And then I guess kind of piggybacking on that, what do you say is the biggest mistake that companies do make when they're trying to sell into K-12?
Only sell to the top is number one, right? You may get a sale, sure. But again, do you want low adoption? Is that beneficial to you as an organization? Or do you want annually these folks being like, I can't live without what you have? And that's going to be at the end user. Quick example. I was in a media center not that long ago talking to the librarian there, and she was cleaning up because it's end of year. And they found in the corner a whole box of unopened Palm Pilots. That's a prime example of not getting the end user involved. And you got to keep it simple. Again, we're not adding to anybody's plate. We're trying to remove responsibilities from them. So you don't want to be the Palm Pilot that they finally get their hands on 20 years later and throw out. Adoption is the key, because it is really a referral business from school to school to district to district.
Definitely. Okay, so then kind of jumping on that, if you have a story or a general idea of how you can share how your product and your company has made a positive impact on a school district and what changed for them.
Sure, sure. I think generally speaking, I think the biggest aha moments are when we come in, right? And there's two different sets of problems. There are universal problems in the education system, no matter if we're in a school in North Carolina or we're going to a school in New York, right? Those are the simple things. But really identifying and finding out where a school is at on their path individually, and pinpointing what would be a solve to help them. So great example is, when we talk to a school and their refresh on bulletin boards was every 2 weeks. It was an elementary school. So times that by X amount of teachers, that is a lot of time and effort being used to do that. So we were able to cut their time out in creating the bulletin boards across all educators, right? Across the school by, let's say, 5 hours each. Times that by, even if they just change the refresh to 12 a year, it's a lot. So something like that for us that's so encouraging, because ultimately what we want that time to just be able to go back to serving their students. Um, and nothing makes us feel better than when we're able to interject ourselves in their own path and where they're at, and having a positive outcome like that.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, what's the biggest goal for Perfect Schools over the next 6 to 12 months?
Evangelism.
Is that going to be by traveling to all the schools? Is that
Yeah, because it is a mix, right? We're out there, we're out in front visiting schools. When in every school that we're engaging, right, we're having that aha moment with them of like, oh my God, this is going to help us so much. I can't wait. And then we have that follow up after a training and the impact that it's had for them, right? And it is just a matter of, we're a bootstrap company that is trying to make it happen any way we possibly can. And it's not even, a business sense of we need to evangelize to grow our business. Of course we want to, but I feel as if I there's so many schools that still aren't aware. I want them to at least know, hey, we're in your corner, we're going to help you, and this is how.
Yeah, that is so perfect. So if you could solve one challenge that your business is facing right now, what would it be?
If there was a challenge that we are facing right now that I think that we would be able to, is I think the speed that we're learning we're at a point right now where it is so different starting a company in 2026 or 2025 than any other time, that I think the biggest challenge that we face is it's a matter of what we're learning and bringing that to that market that may not be moving at the same speed as you, and trying to meet them where they're at, but also, hey, there is so much more cost effective ways of doing what you're doing that we can help with that. So you kind of wish everybody was as nimble and moved as fast as you do, but that's one challenge. If I can get them on that same speed track, that'd be fantastic.
Okay. So we know, obviously, 2026 AI is a hot topic. Where do you think AI could create the biggest advantage for companies serving education?
I think specifically to the education piece of it is, and I would say that this is fairly generalized in business in general too, but is to be able to put us in a position to allow for humans to do what humans do best. I think that is the biggest thing. I mean, we're starting to get into this mode and bringing everybody along of, okay, anything that is not human value, let's put that on the list of let's take it off of our plates, just like in the schools, right? So I think really for us to emphasize on the human part is so that they can maximize relationships, partnerships, connections, and having that ability to lead with empathy to serve our market. And I want everybody on our team to do less of the everything else so that they can do that which serves them.
Exactly. And yeah, that was kind of leading into my next question was, since you have kind of a smaller team, you have 7 people. So how do you decide what gets automated and then what remains human?
Well, I think first and foremost, it is, a constant evaluation of what's bogging us down, right? I always use the Covey's the four quadrants, what's important but not urgent. And that's where I want everybody to be able to stay, right? So there are other aspects throughout the day. And right now, we are really trying to just hone in on some of our operational efficiencies on the back end that they don't have to touch as much, whether it's, even putting into CRMs and things of that nature. But this is ongoing. This is nonstop. It's something else is going to fill your plate, and if it's not fully engaged in important but not urgent activities, then we want to find a way to take that off. So it's ongoing. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I have one more question. If you had a magic wand and you could solve one problem inside of your business overnight, what would it be? I can give you options or you can just pick.
Give me some options.
Okay. Let's see. Lead gen, sales cycle length, AI implementation, operational efficiency, team productivity, customer acquisition, reporting, forecasting, marketing.
I think for us right now, the biggest one would be lead generation, right? That goes back to my evangelism approach. I think that there's a part, especially for lead generation, is extremely important. And then I still feel as if there's that connection. We got to get a human there to lead with the relationship and empathy to really understand. But lead generation to evangelize this so that more folks know what we can do to solve their problems at their school is critical.
Definitely. Okay. And then the last, sorry, I know it's the last question, but I have one more. What advice would you leave with our listeners right now, the founders who are just starting up their companies and they're wanting to sell into those school districts? What advice would you leave with them?
I would say what I say every day: step by step, brick by brick. Just keep moving forward. There are going to be days where you're like, I don't know if this segment is worth it. It's slower, you got to go through the process. But you're also at the same time, that's the moat you're building, because everybody doesn't want to get involved in it because it is a little bit of a slower churn. So, but once it's on, and once you've built that trust, you're good. You're good to go. Just, keep your solution simple.
Right, definitely. Okay, well, Gary, thank you so much for joining us today. For our listeners, where can they find you to connect if they have any questions?
They can connect with me on my LinkedIn profile, Gary Nickol, Nickol. I don't think there's many of us out there. You'll see the Perfect School Tools next to it. Always open to an email too, and that's just simply Gary@perfectschooltools.com. Always willing to help in any way possible.
Definitely. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the EdTech Growth Podcast, and we'll see you next on the next episode.
Thank you.
All right.